All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the most interactive wrestling show on the interweb. Welcome back to Wrestling with Omer. It is Sunday. What is it? September 29th. There we go. Sunday, September 29th. This week, the Vince McMahon documentary premiered on Netflix. We'll be talking about that. Of course, that was one of the biggest pieces of news coming out of this week. We also have a few more insights from Tony Khan regarding the AEW Max deal and that streaming deal, as it looks like one of the ways you could previously watch AEW pay-per-views is going away. AEW Grand Slam was this past weekend, or this past Wednesday. I did not go, and quite frankly, kind of happy I didn't, given some of the things that I heard about the show. I will be attending AEW Wrestle Dream in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be in Atlanta for WWE Bad Blood, so we'll be getting our wrestling shows in, and if you guys want to get your wrestling shows in, y'all know what to do. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, make sure as many people as possible see this video, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a new person here, welcome, and yeah, also, I'll be giving more information about this, but you guys want to get $20 off your first purchase of wrestling tickets over at SeatGeek, use the promo code RealTake. We'll be talking more about that later on the show, but busy week. Be sure to sound off in the chat. Of course, we had the Vince McMahon documentary, the docuseries, I should say, on Netflix that premiered. That was the talk of the town. Everyone was buzzing about their takes on that, and you know, I did like an in-depth hour-long breakdown on the channel, so I won't go like minute-by-minute kind of review on it. But overall, I think, you know, this was probably the biggest and most insight that we will ever get directly from Vince McMahon about his own life. It's like he's not someone who is prone to do interviews. He's not someone who has done a lot of interviews, especially long-form profiling him in this specific way. And it was honestly surprising that he was, or that Netflix, Bill Simmons and company were able to get as much as they did out of Vince McMahon, because one of the things that he said at the top of the docuseries was, I'm only going to tell you what I want you to know, and I'm only going to tell you as much as I want you to tell you. And Shane is someone who also said the same thing about his dad. He's like, you know, Dad's only going to tell you what he wants you to see. So it was like, you know, obviously not as much as I think wrestling fans may have wanted. Like, if you're a wrestling fan, you watch that, you're like, well, these are all stories I've heard before. Reality is this was made not necessarily for wrestling fans. Like, wrestling fans, we knew we were going to watch this anyway. But this was made more so for the general public to understand better the story of Vince McMahon and WWE. And, you know, one of the biggest critiques I heard, as Wall Street Money's in the chat, good to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully. There we go. That's how we say it. Haven't drank my coffee. I literally woke up like 20 minutes ago, guys. Roll Tide. Actually, no, not Roll Tide. I was so mad. Alabama won last night. But this was a docuseries that was made more so for general public. If you were a wrestling fan, you know, this is going to be like something you've heard a million times. The story of Vince McMahon and WWE are always going to be intertwined, because one thing that was made clear by Vince McMahon in his own words during the docuseries was that the business of WWE was his life's work. It was his life's obsession. There weren't that many side quests when you really think about it for Vince McMahon, especially when you compare it to other people in you know, the executive world, right? You'll have like your side businesses, you'll have like, you know, franchises, you know, whatever, right? For Vince McMahon, it is one entity. There was the XFL, which he did for a little bit, and then he whatever, failed. Okay, back to WWE. There was, of course, the WBF, which ended partially, well, a lot of it had to do with the steroid trial, but it was also just not a sustainable business model, if you go back and look at some of the reports from back then. But this was his life's work. And I think, like, in that respect, the way the documentary chose to approach Vince McMahon and chose to approach Vince McMahon's, journey and his story specifically, I thought was good. The biggest, thing I think fans maybe wanted a little bit more of was, who is Vince McMahon? What makes him tick? Like what is the biggest, or what more can we learn about Vince? And while I understand that, I think a lot of what we know about Vince and a lot of what we will learn about Vince doesn't necessarily come from him, because he's not like an honest narrator. Even if you go back and look at the documentary, a lot of times where Vince was talking about stuff he did not remember, or things that he was flat out lying about. And, again, I covered that in my full review, so I don't want to get too deep into that. The other thing, that I kind of wish that the documentary focused a little bit more on, just because even for wrestling fans, it is one of those topics that people don't know too much about, and there haven't been extensive, docuseries or even Dark Side of the Ring covering it. I'm sure there will be at some point. But the other thing is the Ring Boy scandal. And it is truly, when you go and read about it, and you read about Phil Mushnick reporting on it, it's truly one of the darkest and most disgusting scandals that we don't talk about in terms of professional wrestling. And I'm not gonna get too deep into it. I talk about it in the video, so unless you guys want to talk about it in the chat, but it truly is one of those things where I'm kind of perplexed, especially with the climate today, around the specifically harassment and that sort of flat out assault. I'm surprised that we don't talk about that specific scandal more, and that wasn't covered more in this docuseries, to be honest. Wall Street Money. If Vince didn't buy out all the territories, do you think some other promoter would have done it? I think there would have been attempts for sure for other promotions to go national, 100%. I don't think that there was another promotion that was better equipped to do that than WWE. Maybe Crockett, but even then Crockett was... Here's the thing with WWE, right? Having that New York market for them was always big, right? Not only because it's a big draw and whatever, but that is a massive media market to have. That is a shit ton of people, right? That you are branding to, that you are distributing to, right? So in that respect, they kind of had an edge in that they were already distributing to so many people. They were in a place in New York that is a entertainment hub, that culture, a lot of that stuff kind of tends to permeate from New York. So, and obviously it's not all culture and all that kind of stuff, but it's one of those things where it was allowed to be taken seriously, and there's just a lot more money, and there was a lot more money in that specific market. So I think he and WWF at the time were probably the best equipped to do that. But at the same time, I think someone else would have tried. If Turner actually made a go at it to try to nationalize or if he bought WCW and then tried to nationalize and WWE never did, I think he probably could have done it, because the amount of money and distribution that they would have had through the Turner networks would have been crazy. But I don't know if there was any one promoter who was positioned well during that time. Let me actually do this. I'll pull up, because I am all about the wrestling knowledge and history for you guys. I will pull up a map of the territories, and we'll just take a look at it. Just give me 1 second. By the way, guys, if you're just joining us, welcome. Be sure to smash that thumbs up. All right. So these were the territories back in the day. Let me make myself smaller so I don't take up the whole thing. So this is a map of those wrestling territories. Of course, in the Northeast, you have the World Wrestling Federation, And you also have right above them, Atlantic Grand Prix, which was I want to do a video about that because there's so many stories about like the boys up in Canada, especially Grand Prix and where is it, Canadian Athletic promotions. Like those Toronto promotions were crazy. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. But if you look at the big ones, right, from back in the day, it was, Georgia Championship Wrestling in the South. It was AWA. Actually, I think I would say AWA probably was the second most well positioned in terms of having the ability to nationalize, because they had a massive distributing network too. Like, they were in markets that are even more so than like the Midwest regional market that they show here. Like, they were pretty big, so it's like those two were probably the biggest dogs. And like Vern Gagne was obviously someone who was very well known for his business tactics in that respect. But I just don't think anyone else really would have gone as hard as Vince did. Like that is part of the message you get from the docuseries is like Vince was a ruthless businessman. He was a very, very ruthless businessman. He was someone who was cutthroat. He didn't care how many people lost their jobs. He didn't care what the result was. As long as him and his business were fine, that's all that matters. And sometimes I think in his head, he kind of created these demons or these monsters in like other promoters, or the way he talks about Ted Turner is probably a good example of this, where Ted Turner was basically doing the same thing Vince was doing to WWE, but the only difference was he was doing it to WWE. So Vince took it personally. And for that, in his head, in Vince's head, that was different than what Vince did. Because Vince, at the end of the day, was a selfish guy. So, but yeah, like this is an interesting, like, even concept for a video. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I would love to break down the territories, because like you have world-class championship wrestling from Dallas. You have, holy shit, NWA Hollywood. Oh my God, we got a big-time wrestling in San Francisco. I will say Portland wrestling is definitely like one of the most interesting ones, because like you had so many stars come out of Portland, like Roddy Piper, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and others. Like, those stories from Portland are probably some of the most unheralded and undertold in all of professional wrestling. Anyway, nerding out about the territories is what I do on a Sunday morning. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Hello, Jane. Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see you. Hello, Hunter. Do you see Penta showing up in November? Hunter asks. I don't know when Penta shows up at this point. I mean, of course, we know that Penta's contract is reportedly coming up, if it's not already expired, and he was kind of waiting for Ray Phoenix to get out of his deal, but it seems like AEW has added injury time to Ray Phoenix's contract, and like you just do some of the math. He was out for minimum like 8 months throughout his deal, so they probably could add like up to that. So he could be stuck in AEW for a while. But I don't know if Penta shows up without Ray Phoenix, but he could. He very well could, actually. I mean, I think Penta has proven that he is like a good solo act and he can carry himself in that respect. But it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening with that situation. I mean, it seems like AEW wants Ray Phoenix to stay. John Keegan asks, "What's up, guys? How is everything?" Hopefully you're doing well, John. I'm doing great. I literally just woke up like 30 minutes ago, so late start to the day, but drinking my coffee from a mug I got in Vegas last year at AEW Double or Nothing, by the way. It always comes back to wrestling with me. That was messed up what Vince said about Owen. I mean, yeah, it goes back to this idea of like cutthroat business and an obsession. Actually, not beyond cutthroat business. Like, it's an obsession with business. Vince McMahon was like religiously obsessed with his business, and it didn't matter. He was like a fanatical guy in that kind of way. And it was greedy. It was very greedy what he said about Owen. Like that's what it points to me, because in his view, it was better for him and the company to make the money that night and make sure they give him the show, make sure they don't give refunds or anything like that, than it was to just stop everything. During like what probably should have been an active crime scene. Like in my view, I blame Vince. Do not get it twisted. I blame Vince for that because at the end of the day, he should have known better. But also, it shouldn't have been his decision to make to keep that show going. The police should have said, this is a freaking crime scene and no show is allowed to take place. I mean, for God's sakes, Owen Hart's blood was right there. It was right there. And, again, it was obviously like a malfunction of the equipment, and it was not a murder or anything like that. But that night, there were people who said, "Oh, well, I saw Owen get pushed," and of course, that ended up being wrong. But during the moment, if you're the police and you hear that, and you don't know, you genuinely don't know, no investigation's taking place, they should have stopped it. They should have stopped it because you don't know at that point, and it's your job to investigate. It's your job to shut this shit down. And I'm glad we're in a place now where if God forbid, right, something like that happened, where almost any sport, God forbid something like that happened, the show wouldn't go on, the game wouldn't continue. We learned that with Damar Hamlin, right? A horrible incident happened there where he had a heart attack on a football field, and he was medically dead. He was later revived, but he was medically dead. And instead of saying, well, the game's got to go on, they stopped it. And I'm thankful. Again, God forbid something like that ever happens again. We're at a place in pro wrestling where I don't think the show would go on. Whether it's WWE, AEW, or any other major promotion, I don't think it would go on. Independent promoters, I cannot speak for because they are not the same. But genuinely, for the major promotion, it would be a horrible, horrible look if they did that. Ryan Davis says, "What's up? What's up, Ryan?" Shout out to Andy Dalton. Was he the Red Rifle? I almost said the Red Rocket. The Red Rifle, doing it up there in Carolina. Hopefully you're doing well. Frank G says, "Happy Sunday, everyone." Happy Sunday, Frank. Guys, happy Sunday to all of you guys. But yeah, let me just, I guess, oh, we got Frank in the chat saying the show should have been canceled when Owen died on the show. Yeah. I mean, case in point, right? Owen Hart, being stretchered out, at that point, basically, dead, backstage, past Jeff Jarrett and past Deborah. And they had to go out right after that and cut a promo. And Jeff Jarrett's obviously distraught. Deborah was reportedly crying right before they told him to go and cut that promo. And what is Jeff Jarrett talking about? Jeff Jarrett's Owen Hart, I'm praying for you, brother. I'm praying for you, man. And he just goes, Deborah's puppies or something like that. And it's just an insane world we live in, where that happens. And that is the priority, right? Obviously, I'm not going to let 2020, hindsight's 2020, all that stuff. But at the same time, even back then, it was a distasteful thing to do. And they were rightfully chastised for it. Honestly, every booker would have stopped the show if that happened. I think, I would like to think most would. I think, again, WWE, AEW, if that ever, God forbid, happened today, it would. But I don't know, man. Some of these promoters are just, especially a lot of independent promoters, they do not care. And again, that's not a knock on independent wrestling, but it is what it is. I blame Vince McMahon, yeah. In another world, do you see... I don't want to... I mean, no. I mean, here's the thing, right? Chris Benoit was, one of the best technical wrestlers of all time, but he did what he did. He murdered his wife and child. And, you can't really exist in any other world because that's the reality we live in. His legacy will be that of... a murderer, and that is what it is. And Jericho had a line in the Vice documentary about Benoit, right, where he said it's obviously beyond the horrible like actions of Benoit. One of the tragedies within that his life is like he spent his whole life trying to help professional wrestling and all that kind of stuff, and he lived for pro wrestling, and then by doing what he did at the end of his life, he almost destroyed the business that he spent his entire life obsessing about. And it's true, like more so than the steroid scandal, more so than almost any other scandal that WWE's been in, this was the one that genuinely had the most potential to like have a massive turn on business. And like the perception of pro wrestling in 2007 was like Benoit and what he did. It was a murder-suicide. And that's not a good perception to have. So, I mean, I don't, and this is not like me trying to avoid your question or anything. I don't like to think about things like that because at the end of the day, he did what he did. And no, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think we should celebrate his life in that way. I think Nancy Sullivan, Nancy Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame because she was an amazing manager. I also kind of understand the conundrum of like, being unable to tell her life story without, hinting towards what happened in the end. But at the same time, I think, we're at a point in WWE where there's room for her to be recognized for her talent. And like, that's like, again, when you're talking about like that specific tragedy, like talking about pro wrestling aspects of it is like so minutia because it's so horrible. But like, within that again is like Nancy Benoit like has not been recognized for her contributions to the business. Nancy Sullivan, whatever you want to call her, woman. She went by many names during her time in wrestling. Like she was an iconic manager throughout the 90s. And it's like one of the saddest parts is like because of what Chris did, she's not recognized for things as in the way that she probably should. So I know the live stream did get dark. I'm sorry. We're talking about like you guys are giving me a lot of dark questions. We're talking about death. We're talking about like Benoit. Like it is. I mean, I'm just again. This is a fan controlled show. So I'm gonna like talk about what you guys want to talk about. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really mean to get too dark about it. Just the truth. I meant I want her to die. Pictures taken with him. I was 16. Yeah. I think I remember you telling this story where you saw Owen right before he died or leading up to his death. It's crazy how that stuff works out. I think I watched Owen I think I watched that show. I didn't understand why they continued the show. I don't think a lot of us do. Like I mean, I understand from after hearing what Vince said about it because he basically said, "Well, if it was me who died like that, I would want the show to go on." Which is like, again, a ruthless, heartless, cruel, and incompassionate obsession with the business is the only way to describe that and rationalize it. Anyway, guys, this did get dark. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. This did get dark. But on the brighter side, I do want to tell you real quick about new sponsors over at SeatGeek. If you guys are going to any pro wrestling shows over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years, whatever it is, here we go. Guys, I have an exclusive offer for you. You guys can get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek using the promo code REALTAKE. And the best part about SeatGeek is that it scores the tickets for you on a 0 to 10 scale. It tells you exactly the type of deal you're going to get on this ticket and where it compares to the rest of the tickets in the arena they have. All you got to do to get $20 off your first purchase is go download the SeatGeek app, sign up, and use the promo code REALTAKE. Link for that is in the description of this stream, so please check that out. Shout out to SeatGeek. Again, Wrestling tickets are getting expensive, especially if you're going to a WWE show. If you're like me and you're planning to go to Bad Blood, or I don't know, maybe I don't end up going to Bad Blood. If you're like me and you're trying to go to Bad Blood, trust me, that $20, that's going to come in handy because oh boy, are those ticket prices insane. But you guys want to get $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek, use the link in the description below, download the app, and use the promo code REALTAKE at checkout. So, shout out to SeatGeek for that. We'll see if we can get another ad read in there. But we got some more questions coming in. Daniel in the chat says, how do you feel about AEW running red, white, and blue rope show at Yankee Stadium and then the go-home show at Hammerstein? I would love for them to run Hammerstein. I mean, like, look, to be honest with you, I think Yankee Stadium would be an awesome place for a wrestling show. I was kind of upset when WWE announced SummerSlam at MetLife, also because it's in New Jersey and, like, fuck New Jersey, no offense. But like, I was hoping that, like, you know, they would do something interesting because, like, how cool would it be to have a pro wrestling show at Yankee Stadium? How cool would it be? You know, like from a visual standpoint, right? Because we've seen so many shows at MetLife. We've seen all these shows in, like, these stadiums, Allegiant, all these. We've seen it. But baseball stadiums for pro wrestling, like, the coolest thing about them is, like, they offer a really good look. Think, you know, Seiko Field for Mania 19. Think I think it was Royal Rumble 2020. Like, in what was it? Houston. Like, these places have such a different look, and it's so cool. And, like, Yankee Stadium is, like, an insane stadium. I haven't been there, but I've walked past it. I've been past it. I've seen it on the outside. It just seems like a cool place to do professional wrestling. The question with AEW is, like, could they do a show like that? Sure, but how would it sell? Even in the New York market, like, they ran Grand Slam this past week, and they only sold, realistically, they only, like, sold 7,000 something tickets. They ended up getting, like, 8,000 people in there, but seemed to be, I don't know. I'm speculating that it was, like, papered in at the end a bit, but, you know, it is what it is. Tony Khan was asked recently about running the Hammerstein Ballroom, and he said that he'd be open to it for a TV at some point. I think the logistical problem there is, like, sometimes with these arenas like Hammerstein, you know, the big issue is, like, logistics for running TV, because AEW, they have, like, 4 or 5 trucks they got to bring in, right? And Hammerstein is not a place that's, like, you know, got a parking lot or anything. It's, like, right there in the middle of Manhattan. So it's very difficult in that respect to park all your stuff or get anything like that. And, you know, also, like, there's the issue of power, right? Like, does that building have, like, the power you need to power, like, a wrestling show in 2024? Because it's not just, you know, running all the electrical equipment for the live stream. It's not just running all the electrical equipment for, you know, the stage. It's, like, the LEDs, the sound, like, all of that, like, the amount of power it takes compared to, like, when WWE ran it, like, 20 years ago is very different. So it would be a challenge on the logistical front, but I think they could run it maybe for, like, not a Rampage, because that show's probably going away, but, like, I could see them running it for, like, Dynamite or Collision. Frank G says, heard a rumor yesterday that Stephanie was going to change her last name. I don't know if that's true. I doubt that's true. I think she's fine with being Stephanie McMahon. Real Take, quick question. If The Rock is half black wrestler champion, Mark Henry is also a championship in his own right too. Mark Henry was a world champion, yes. It's been 70 years. The last time Yankee Stadium was ran for a wrestling show was around 1950 with Gorgeous George. It would sell out, a patriotic show. This is the show he's referring to. It'll do 70,000. I mean, 70,000 would be crazy. I just don't know if AEW is at a place where they can do that. Genuinely. Even if they build it up, it's like a big patriotic show. I don't know if they're in the position to do that. And that's just, like, not a damning indictment on AEW, but it's just, like, kind of just where they are right now. I just don't know. One thing I do know, though, guys, is you guys could help me out by smashing that thumbs up. Just one click of a button. Make sure more people see the stream. Make sure we get out beat that damn YouTube algorithm that keeps putting me down, and putting our whole community down. So please be sure to leave a thumbs up there. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I mean, the cool thing with AEW running, Globe Life Field is like they have like, a little less than a year now to kind of sell that pay-per-view and sell the idea of All In America. It's going to be a big test for them. Early signs for ticket sales, for example, for Grand Slam Australia aren't really that good. I don't think we have a WrestleTix estimate, partially because like the way the map shows up in whatever interface they're using for the ticket sales is really weird. But apparently ticket sales aren't that good. But I also don't know the specific deal that AEW did with Brisbane, because it could have been a thing where, Brisbane just kind of paid for the show and the AEW's like got that money no matter what. But I don't know. AEW should do more Dynamite tapings in Europe. I agree. I fully agree with that. Any news about Shane McMahon going to AEW? News is a funny word, but we did get an update. I covered this in yesterday's video, but as one second, you can see here. Oh, wait, hold up. No, you can't. Let's go to it now. But as you can see here, there was a development in the idea of Shane McMahon going to AEW, because you can see right there, Shane O'Mac in all his glory. Uh-oh. Got way too big for our britches. But Shane McMahon, sorry, Matt, taking a picture with the Young Bucks at, I believe this is JFK or this is Salt Lake City, one of the two. Anyway, they're at an airport. They're both flew on the same flight from JFK to Salt Lake City, which is a great big hub for connecting through to California. And they took this picture together and they kind of talked for a little bit. Look, here's the way I'm taking this. I'm not going to say whether or not I confirmed Shane McMahon to AEW or anything like that. The way I'm taking all this is I think Shane will end up in AEW in some way, shape, or form eventually. If I were to do it, I think World's End would be when we get it, because that's going to kind of like the way Tony Khan likes to talk about World's End is like that culminates the year, and that like also signifies the start of like a new season or whatever of AEW. If that's the case, combining that with the fact that their new TV deal is probably going to kick in January 2025, you want to go in hot. That's how you do it, I think. We will see what ends up happening there. I think he ends up showing up in AEW. I really do. And I think like the fact that there's like so much interest in it is like only going to help matters, because at the end of the day, like I think like both sides want to do something like that. I know Shane definitely wants more than what he got last time he was in a wrestling ring, because he blew out his knees, I believe, right? Yeah, he blew out his legs, and it was not a good looking injury, of course. And I don't think that's the way he wants to be remembered. And I also think AEW, quite frankly, has the ability for him to go out there and do something different. Because even if you look back at the documentary, Shane was always described as like the black sheep of the family. Like he marches to the beat of his own drum. He's a bit different. I think he would get a kick out of doing something in AEW, because he knows not only how like big an impact that would be, but he knows it would be special. And I think like that freedom and being able to do something different without his father there or family there, I think it could be cool. Would Shane be a creative writer coming into AEW? I'm not sure. I think I could see Shane like contributing to creative in some respect. I don't know if it would be like a contracted thing though. I don't think he would. I think he would be a talent first. I think he would be a talent. But we'll see. You never know. Mercedes claims that the competition that allegedly made her the highest paid girl in pro wrestling is weird, when competition is exactly what we wanted in the industry for decades. I don't know what this is in reference to, but I mean, competition is great for pro wrestling. You need that. You need parity in pro wrestling. You need different flavors of ice cream because you don't want just vanilla. You don't want just strawberry. You don't want just chocolate. You want mango. You want those kind of out there flavors sometimes. You want different. You want something different, you know? And that's the best part about where we are in pro wrestling right now. There is something different for everyone. Just imagine Sheik versus Mox in a death match at Yankee Stadium. That would be hilarious. Like, yo, one of them might actually die. Actually, no, I don't. Sorry. But that would be crazy. It would be crazy. Imagine Darby Allin versus Shane McMahon. I mean, that's the money match, right? like that's the match that people want to see. Who can jump off the most crazy thing more? Like, I genuinely believe Darby Allin will pitch jumping out of a plane or something. Like, which is something I think he did. Like, he did that on the Indies, actually. He jumped out of like a helicopter or something and did like a coffin drop. Like, it's crazy. Mercedes said competition between AEW and WWE is weird. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I think that's speaking more to the tribalism. And I tend to agree with her in that respect. I don't think she meant the competition directly, like AEW existing or WWE existing or whatever. I think it's more so the way fans kind of warp it. Like, it's that whole bullshit of like people being like, oh my God, AEW, look at the hard cam side, no seats, no fans, blah, 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 all that stuff. Where it's like, all right, you're being tribal just for the sake of being tribal. You don't have there is a realistic way to critique AEW for that, but it's not in a genuine way. I think in the same respect, you got people who don't watch, the shows, like who kind of like talk out their ass a lot. Like, I think that's more so what she's talking about, like the toxic stuff when it comes to that fandom. Bobby versus Swerve, I think, happens at Full Gear. I think Swerve is going to be at Wrestle Dream. I'm convinced Swerve is going to be at Wrestle Dream. It is in his hometown. He just came off of the run of his career. He is totally going to be at that show. And I also think that we're going to probably get Bobby Lashley at that show, because the way I see it is this decision that MVP is kind of laying out for Swerve is, do you want to stick with Nana or do you want to come over and be represented by a real businessman, by a real agent, by a real manager? And I think Swerve's going to end up sticking with Nana, and like they're going to have like that big decision for Swerve to make at Wrestle Dream. And I think that's when we get Bobby Lashley, because you can have MVP coming out there with his cane like, there's always a plan B. Shout out to MVP, man. He's so good. He's so good. Wouldn't be surprised if Darby did that. Listen, this is Real Take. Is Tony Khan class? Right. I'm not gonna. Come on now, Wall Street Money. Don't be doing that. We don't do that here. Anyway, but yeah, I think Bobby versus Swerve is very compelling. Like that's one of those matches that I didn't know I wanted to see until I saw it like that, and I just think it's cool. I can't wait for it. Man, come on, Wall Street Money. I'm not gonna put you in timeout, but like that was definitely a timeout worthy thing. All right. You're better than that. I know you are. Powerhouse Hobbs would be great in the Hurt Business. I think like that could potentially happen. And like, he obviously is nearing a return, according to reports. Like he is nearing being ready to go back into the fold. So we'll see. I'm sorry, bro. It's okay. It's okay. Just don't make me read silly stuff like that out loud. Please. But guys, if you guys want to be silly in the chat, or even sillier than you actually already are, because y'all are silly as hell, you guys can go to the channel and join up and become a member and get access to some exclusive emojis. You guys can get access to that. You guys can get access to that. Look at that. For the first time ever, Real Take's bringing home the Seth Rollins laughing emoji. We got the Jesus emoji. You guys can go over, sign up, become members, help support the channel, and get access to some cool emojis. You also get, what's it called? You also get guaranteed reply to your comments on videos. So why wouldn't you? Go over and join up and help the channel grow. Man, oh man. What a time to be alive. You should have went to Grand Slam. It was amazing. I wanted to, but I mean, look, the one of the big issues with having Grand Slam that week is it's just like, it's so expensive in New York that week because that's the same week that the UN General Assembly is. So you have like so many people coming from across the world that floods the market of hotels and just everything else in New York. So it's just such an expensive city. It's an expensive city already, but it becomes like the cheapest hotel room you can find is like $400, right? So I wasn't gonna do all that. I'm a train boy. I take the train up, I take the train down, and the train was going to be like, the next train was going to be like 5 hours after the show ended. And I was like, I'm not going to sit around doing nothing for 5 hours. So anyway, also, I'm kind of glad given some of the feedback I heard about the show because it just, I mean, even the way it came across TV, this did not feel like an Arthur Ashe Stadium show. It did not look like, it was not produced like an Arthur Ashe Stadium show. It was cavernous. It was dark. It was honestly kind of sad because I was like, it feels like they're just in a dark ass arena, which, is what it is. They only sold what they sold, but it's unfortunate because I like the only match I really wanted to go see on that show was Bryan versus McGuinness, and I saw it, and it was a great match. I was jumping up and down in my living room watching that, but I was also like, man. There's nothing, like not too much there to really pique me as far as like I needed to be there. I mean, there were some awesome matches, but I don't know. Nigel does still got it though. I will tell you that. The idea of AEW doing a ballpark show with a patriotic look, I think, would just benefit. I personally miss the red, white, and blue ropes. Doing that in an open sky would be treatment. American Stadium Slam. I am not a big fan of the red, white, and blue ropes in AEW. They tried that for a little bit. I was not a big fan of that. I thought I'm not gonna say it looked weird, but like I think the solid color ropes are like just a mainstay at this point in pro wrestling. Like you need those. Otherwise, it's weirdly distracting, at least for me. But I think that like you could probably do that. You could do that for like one show. Totally. You could totally do that for one show. I just don't know. I just didn't like it week to week when they did that. I also missed look, wrestlers will disagree, and they are actually more entitled to disagree than I am, but like I miss the black ropes. I really do. I feel like the white ropes, it helps wrestlers because they're able to see them better in the ring. With the black ropes, they kind of blend in with the crowd and they're harder to see, so it helps. So it breaks up their equilibrium or whatever. But man, I miss the black ropes because it just made the entire picture seem more colorful because the ropes weren't as bright as they are now. It's one of the problems I kind of had with WWE when they went to the white ropes. And again, like wrestler safety, wrestler's preference, that goes a longer way than mine in that respect, especially when they're the ones competing in the ring. But I'm also just like, man, it just seemed different. I don't know. In the beginning, AEW was it. True that Cody Rhodes, in the beginning of AEW, was it true that Cody Rhodes was the main booker? I heard that somewhere. Cody Rhodes was not the main booker. It was a booking committee made up by Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, as well as Tony Khan. Tony Khan kind of, after a couple of months, like, I do want to do it, like, I'm going to do a whole video about this at some point over at Wrestle Vibes, but essentially what happened was there was a show that was really poorly received. It was AEW's final show of 2019. Very poorly received. The creative at that point, people were already complaining about and all that kind of stuff. And at that point, Tony kind of took the reins behind the scenes and said, all right, look, I'm going to be the final creative guy. This is going to be me. Let me cook, basically, is what he said. He said, let me cook. And look, the results are what they are. Like, the product got way better and more consistent when Tony Khan took over as the lead booker. But it was booking by the committee at that point. Everything is white ropes. Yeah, everyone does the white ropes, man. The screen was fire. The curve, they need to keep that. Yeah, I maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the nostalgia. I'm just gonna say maybe it's the nostalgia. I do miss their like minimalist set they had back in the day, where it was like the like, you know what I'm talking about, like they had like the two screens, the two entrances, and then like the chandelier or whatever in the middle. Like I miss that so much, man. Classic AEW. Bring back AEW Classic, bro. Bring back AEW Classic. Hunter in the chat says, do you think Brock Lesnar will show up in AEW? Tell Bobby Lashley to get paid in WrestleMania $500 million from Vince. Just Brock. I don't think Brock Lesnar's going to AEW. I don't think so. Foster Money agreeing with me. Bring back the chandelier. Bring back the chandelier, Tony Khan. I don't even know like how to explain this. Like, hold up. When I'm talking about the chandelier, hold up. Let me find this so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, because I feel like I sound crazy when I say chandelier, but like I really do mean it dead ass looked like a freaking chandelier. Hold up. Oh, here we go. Boom, boom. Oh, no, that's Shane McMahon. Give me 1 second. Let me fix that. Uh-oh. Did it not download? Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. We're still stuck on Shane McMahon. Oh, damn it. Okay, hold up. Gotta find another picture, because apparently this chandelier wasn't one of them. Anyway. Live TV pal. All right, here we go. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the chandelier. All right. You see that thing in the middle, right above the TNT? That. I want that back. Bring me this back, please. Like, this was cool because it was like a minimalist set, but it felt different. And it wasn't as like, it wasn't as like, like just in your face kind of, like, I don't know. I get it though. Like for arenas that don't have monitors, I guess that's better, but they were cooking. That's the other thing too. Back then they were cooking back then. They're cooking now. Don't get me wrong. They are cooking now, but like, man, maybe I'm just nostalgic now that I think about it. Although this is a dope set, I ain't gonna lie. This is probably one of my favorite sets in like for a wrestling show, weekly wrestling show. Other than the Fist, SmackDown Fist is, to quote Bryan Danielson, we love fisting on SmackDown. Oh, man. Yeah, that set was amazing, though. God, I missed that set. I remember Cody Rhodes' entrance with the chandelier come up. Yeah, man, the Cody Vader. Now the Bucks use the Cody Vader. Man, oh, man. What else do we want to talk about? Well, we could talk about the AEW streaming deal for a bit since we're talking about AEW. So, Tony Khan was on WFAN in New York this week, and I covered this in a video, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more and expand on it. He was on WFAN in New York earlier this week. He was promoting Grand Slam, and in part of doing that, he was asked about a streaming deal and, like what's going on with Max or whatever. And Tony Khan confirmed, like, yeah, we're on Max in France. And he's got some big announcements around Max coming up. He couldn't talk about it yet, but there's sunsetting Bleacher Report, which that was like one of the main ways. And for a while, it was the only exclusive way to watch AEW pay-per-views. But they're sunsetting Bleacher Report. Right now, they're kind of going to be on payperview.com and a few other apps. But there is going to be an announcement about, pay-per-views moving forward at some point soon. So he was teasing that a lot. I think that means that in some way, shape, or form, Max is going to host the pay-per-views, which would be big. Hopefully, it's not like an ESPN Plus deal with UFC, because the way that works is, on ESPN Plus, UFC pay-per-views are exclusively available there, but you have to pay like a certain fee on top of the regular price you pay monthly for ESPN Plus for each show. So it's like, if you have ESPN Plus, you can get the show for like $30, but like it evens out because you're basically like paying that much already for how much you would pay for a regular show. So anyway, But hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's included. That would be big. I think that would open up and make AEW more accessible to more people, and that would be amazing. But we'll see. That could have AEW trying to get money from WBD as well. And they are gonna get a bag. They are definitely gonna get a bag. So we're spilling the beans on Shockwave. He was just happy to talk about. Hey man, look, I can't lie. You know what Swerve was doing? He was talking that talk. Shout out to Swerve. I've done that. We've all been in positions where we're just like, yeah, man, we're gonna do this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this. Like, we've all been there. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you gotta talk that talk sometimes. You know, when you're feeling yourself, and you're talking to other people, and you're just like, yeah, and we're doing this, and we're gonna be on fire, and we took their contract, even though that's not really true. But and when we did that, yeah, you know what? Hype yourself up, Swerve. Shout out to Swerve. That's a good question. Johnny asks, what has been your favorite match this year? So, okay. I mean, favorite match is easy. It was Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland at All In. And look, I want to be clear about this. All In Wembley Stadium, when I went there in August, that was genuinely a life-changing experience for me. Genuinely. Like I was like I joke about it, but it was euphoric. It was one of the happiest moments of my life, genuinely, because I was like there, 50-yard line figuratively, watching, in my view, the greatest wrestler of all time, Bryan Danielson, win the world championship in front of 50,000 people. And we were chanting, we were screaming. People were crying. I was crying. The Final Countdown was playing. It was like the perfect moment for me as a wrestling fan. That's like my moment of the year, but it's also my match of the year because the way they told that story in that match with Bryan focusing in on his kids and being like, "I love you," like that to me, that's one of the most iconic power ups I've ever seen. Like that, that return fire, like babyface fire, when he's just getting kicked. When he's getting kicked by Swerve and he's looking straight at his kids and his family, he's like, "I love you," and he just keeps getting up. It's so iconic. That's my number one favorite match. If you were to ask me what the best quote unquote match of the year is objectively, I want to be clear. Objectively, I will say it is Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. I don't think there's been a match from a technical standpoint or a showcase standpoint or whatever that has topped that. I think that, also I both watched it live, I was there in the arena, and I watched it on pay-per-view, and it was crazy how insane that match came off in both ways. And it's also you had Will Ospreay at his hottest in AEW versus Swerve at his hottest in AEW. So these two were just on a collision course, and we got it in that moment. And the ending was so cool too. They did so much shit in that match where the Swerve stomp onto the table. You had the screwdriver spot. You had Will Ospreay hitting hidden blade after hidden blade. But that ending where they both just where Will Ospreay with his last breath runs into Swerve and then just collapses, and Swerve's just like, "Hey man, you fought well, kid. You fought well." And then he puts him out of his misery figuratively. That was so cool. That was, again, that's me looking at it objectively. I think that's probably the match of the year, but in my view, my favorite match is Bryan versus Swerve. Johnny says, Will Ospreay versus Bryan's my match of the year. I was also there live for that. That match, the match was so fucking good. Johnny says, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre is the feud of the year. I would have said that up until Hangman returned. I think Hangman versus Swerve laps CM Punk versus Drew at this point. And I think CM Punk versus Drew, honestly, is one of the main reasons I still keep up and watch WWE at this point, because it's not great right now. The creative, at least, but no, I agree. This was definitely the WWE feud of the year, hands down. But man, it has gotten cold, and I think their bad blood match is going to definitely make things better. I just it's just one of those things we'll have to see. Swerve versus Ospreay is my favorite match. Sting versus Darby is so good to see. Legend going on his own terms. Yeah, no, oh man, I think like it's so weird. I think like that might be Sting's last match is probably the best thing Tony Khan has ever and likely will ever produce. I mean, we'll see, right? But like, it was perfect. It was so perfect. I mean, Revolution 2024 is like one of those iconic like pay-per-views, and like that, like even like that video package of Sting like right before he did his entrance, it was just, man, it was like if you're watching that, like a tear rolls down your eye. Even if like you don't know Sting like that or whatever, you're just like, man, this is it. It's like the final. I almost said final countdown, but like it's so cool. Like that was the send off this thing deserved, and I'm so glad he got it. Will Ospreay is my performer of the year. I wouldn't disagree. I think it's like neck and neck between him and Swerve. Cody is my champion of the year. I can't agree with this one. Shout out to Cody Rhodes. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I do not like. I hate the booking of him as champion. I think Triple H botched it. And out of like what are we? There's been like 6 pay-per-views, 7 pay-per-views. Jesus, so many pay-per-views. There's been a bunch of pay-per-views with Cody as champion, and if you go and count them out, there's gonna been 4 after WrestleMania that have involved the Bloodline. 4 of his pay-per-view matches have involved the Bloodline, including Bad Blood. That's not good. That's not good. He needs to move on from the Bloodline. Like I ain't nobody trying to see all this. You guys can build this up during Mania. The Rock can just come back and be like, "Hello, Cody Rhodes. I'm the Mama Rhodes is I'm the fucking final boss." Like, do all the stuff that he does. Let him cook. Just let him cook in January, man. Cody. You know what my thing is? I wanted to see Cody Rhodes get his run. I wanted to see Cody Rhodes get that run that focused on him. We never got that. We unfortunately never got that, and that's just my thing. Hangman versus Swerve is just levels above. I mean, hey man, it's such a good feud. There were so many matches from this year, like Damian Priest versus Gunther SummerSlam. That's like my favorite WWE match of the year. Like that, in my opinion, is like the best WWE match of the year. At SummerSlam, they had like that was like the peak of Damian Priest's title run. I know it was like the same night he lost it, but like. That was when he was. I was like, okay, he proved to me like he's like a champion, and that's when I think his championship run surpassed Cody Rhodes' championship run. To be honest, Hangman versus Swerve best feud, Hangman Swerve best match, and Christian Cage was champion of the year. Oh man, shout out to Christian Cage. Be quiet while I'm conducting my business. Shout out to Christian Cage, man. He was cooking. Cody needs to move on from the Bloodline, maybe. Yeah, man, look, the Randy Orton match is something we've all been wanting to see. Like, you could have done that. Man, don't get me started, man. I've done like 3 videos cooking Cody Rhodes. People get really angry at me for it, so I'm just going to chill. But, like, I love Cody. I really wanted to see his first run be special, and it's just not. It's unfortunate. And I understand. Like, look. No one understands the idea of like the chase being way better than the championship run than me, right? I totally get that. The chase is what we live for. But you expect a certain level, right, of competency in booking and presentation for Cody that just has not been there over the past couple of months as champion. And I put the full blame on Triple H. I think this is like a Triple H issue. This is not a Cody Rhodes issue. ROH Cody title was about ROH Cody was cooking. Like you guys want to talk about like when a lot of people like really like fell in love with Cody and when he got over, it was when he was a heel in ROH. That man was the biggest heel ever. He once refused, Brandy was supposed to have a match in TNA, right? Or in Impact at the time. She was supposed to have a match in Impact. And Cody Rhodes comes out and says that I am not going to have you go out there and sully the Rhodes family name by wrestling on Impact Wrestling. So he takes out like $20 from his pocket and he gives it to the other talent. And he goes, here you go. This is about 50, or this is about like, $10 more they were actually going to pay you anyway. So let's just everyone leave. And like, he was wild. Cody was wild back in the day, man. Back in the day was like 8 years ago. But like, man, 2016, 2017, Cody was cooking, man. And the stuff that he was doing with like the Young Bucks and Omega and the Elite in New Japan was like top tier, man. That was American Nightmare. Cody was cooking. And now he's still like he's still doing great matches and like he's fun to watch, but I'm just like, man, I want the old Cody Rhodes. Jacob Fatu is a real deal. Solo is a poser. Please, they need to kick Solo out of the new bloodline. Let Jacob take over. Why did they have Jacob going around like Umaga, bro? I need this man can cut promos. This man can cut promos. Like he can go out there, he can talk that talk. Let him talk that. Oh, they just got him going out there and like, Solo, I love you. I'm like, ain't nobody trying to see that. What are we doing? What's your pay-per-view / PLE of the year? I'll give you WWE and then I'll also give you AEW. My AEW pay-per-view of the year. Oh God. Look, again, I'm gonna try to take my bias out of it. My AEW pay-per-view of the year was Revolution. I think that is probably one of the best things Tony Khan will ever produce in his career, and I think it's just an insane show. That being said, like they have had so many kick-ass shows. Like Forbidden, you could easily say Forbidden Door. You could easily say All In. You could even easily say All Out. And plus, we still have like a few more shows to go for the rest of the year. So, but I will go Revolution. I want to hear from you guys though. What do you guys think? Drop it in the chat. But I would go with Revolution for best AEW pay-per-view of the year. What else we got? Oh, best WWE. I got to talk about WWE. So for WWE, I would say, because not counting the Saudi shows, because I don't watch the Saudi shows, I would say SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam was like the best show that WWE's done this year. I wasn't a big fan of the ending, or I wasn't a big fan of the main event outside of the ending, but I was really big on some of the matches. Like you had Rhea Ripley's return, you had that insane match between Gunther and Damian Priest for the championship, and Roman's return. Like that was obviously big, but yeah, man, I don't know. I just don't. I would say that, or like you could also put up there WrestleMania 41 or WrestleMania 40 Night 2. I think that was also an amazing show. So yeah, but I'll do that. SummerSlam for WWE and then Revolution for AEW. WWE should do 7 matches PLE instead of 5. I mean, man, like, here's the thing. I would like it if, like, for the big 5, they did, like, 7 matches instead of 5, like, but we'll see. I mean, they're going to, it looks like they're moving to, like, 2-night pay-per-views for SummerSlam. Like, that's just going to be the thing happening from now on. And then I could see them doing the same thing for Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble. Like, I could very well see a world where that happens. Daniel Garcia in the chat says, Jay will have great feuds with Braun, Chad Gable, Ilya Dragunov, be done. I think so too. I just don't know how long he's going to have the belt. If you're going to end up doing Bloodline Civil War at Survivor Series. If you're doing that for War Games, I think then Jay is probably going to lose the belt at some point. Who is Schlack? Because I read that as Sheik at first, but like what is it? Schlack? What is this? Oh, let's Google this. I don't even know who this is. You got to get me hip to this. I don't even know. Oh, dear. Okay, now I understand why you want him to face Jon Moxley. Oh, damn. This dude is... Bro, he's like Brian Cage if he... bled. Like, he just roided up. Shout out to this guy. I mean, allegedly. I'm joking. The juice is not loose. I don't know anything about Slack, but shout out to him. Yeah, that man versus Moxie would that would kick. That would slap. Toni Storm is my women's wrestler of the year. You can't really argue against that. I wouldn't argue against that, to be honest. Mariah May. I mean, maybe Mariah May, but Toni Storm carried that division. Ooh, now you're getting me thinking, because yeah, I would go with Toni. I mean, Mariah May, though, has been cooking too. I can't lie. Love to see Cody heel turn. So would I. We got Jermaine saying AEW should have 8 matches instead of 9. Oh, you wish they only did 9. They like 12, 15 matches per pay-per-view. Look, here's my thing, right? I am one of those guys. I would rather have like Tony Khan's insane 12-match cards than him doing like 6-match cards. If I'm going to a show, I want to see as much good wrestling. I want to see wrestling that I can take breaks in between. Because, like, here's the thing. With the WWE show, they will have a 5-match card, and they will still give you time for breaks, but the breaks in between matches are like 20 minutes long. That is freaking insane for me. I would much rather like walk out during a Chris Jericho match, go use the bathroom and do other stuff, like go get out like food or whatever, than I would get like having a 20-minute break in between every single freaking match. I hate that so much. I'm sorry. I hate that so much. But it is what it is. That's the way of the world. I'm a big fan of longer cards. I know I'm in the minority on that, by the way, so I'm not hating on it, but I think 8 matches would be great. Like, that I'd be fine with that. But, like, less than that, I'm just like, oh, come on, man. I go to an AEW show to see, like, great wrestling. I want to see it. I want to see it all. Let's go. He took one kiss from Mariah for Naja to come back. It did, man. And, you notice this? She blew him a kiss on, like, Collision, and then he, like, next week he comes out, Bryan Danielson, the American Drag, I challenge you at Grand Slam. Shout out to Nigel McGuinness. What do you mean? Athena is the women's wrestler of the year. Athena, man. The only reason one should watch Ring of Honor, by the way. Ring of Honor, that show is cooked. Everything other than Athena, like, does not matter on that show. And like, AEW and Tony Khan make sure you know that. But, she's been cooking. I can't even hold you. Like, you're right. 100%. Like, she is right up there with the best. I wouldn't even, like, mind, like, saying she's, like, the best. I would say Toni Storm probably... I would say Toni Storm just by virtue of being on what's it called, the main roster of AEW, probably had like a bigger impact or whatever. But like, no, Athena's been carrying for like almost 2 years at this point, bro. We got a super chat from friend of the show, Davon Lewis, saying, how do you feel about 2-night PLEs? Where do you see Nakamura going when his contract expires with WWE? Checking in on you, bro. Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you too, my friend. Thank you so much for the generous super chat there. Appreciate that. Spend some time on this. We got 2 questions. Number 1, I'll talk about Nakamura. I don't see Nakamura leaving WWE. I don't know. I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure this might have been actually 2 years ago, so his contract could be coming up. But I see Nakamura staying in WWE. I just see him staying in WWE. I think he's chilling there, and that's good. That's cool. I would love to see Shinsuke Nakamura like elsewhere. I would love to see him go back to Japan. I would love to see all that stuff. But I think he's in a place where he's making a whole lot of money, and like the wear and tear on his body is less. So I totally get that. Like, he's getting his bag. Shout out to Nakamura for it. I think as far as the PLEs, the 2-night PLEs, it depends. I mean, again, it's one of the things where it depends on the presentation and it depends on the show. I don't think it's going to be viable to have every single PLE be 2 nights. That would be cooked. I ain't nobody watching that like that. But I think SummerSlam, Mania, and Royal Rumble are events that are positioned to do that. Money in the Bank will probably end up being 2 nights as well, just because they have 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches. Same thing with the Rumble. Like, you have 2 Royal Rumble matches. Excuse me. You have 2 Royal Rumble matches, and I could see that end up being 2 nights at some point. But it's one of those things where it depends on how they structure the show. If it's like 5 matches a night, fine. But like also like the 20-minute commercials and all that shit. I can't be doing that. It's not for me. Mercedes Moné has been lackluster champion of the year. I think her reign started off really well. I want to give it a little bit more time just because she won it in May. So I usually give people like when it's like a longer title reign, I usually give them like about 5 or 6 months. So we're coming up on it. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, but let me see what happens at Wrestle Dream. If it's still cooked at Wrestle Dream, then we'll see. But yeah, I think it's lost a lot of heat for sure. And you know what? Like, there have been parts that haven't been good. Like, that Britt Baker match was so disappointing. The one that Britt Baker and Mercedes had. Like, I was looking forward to that match for years, and it's unfortunate that didn't end up cooking like it should have. Why is Athena not on the main show yet? I don't understand that at all. Neither do I. I think it's one thing to have her be the flagship for Ring of Honor, but you have to make other shit on that show matter. Like, if Athena is like the draw, that's great. But you have to have a plan for what happens after Athena. Otherwise, you're solely relying on Athena being the only thing people want to tune in for. And that not only puts a lot of more pressure than I think Athena needs right now, like, because it's going to kind of force her into a position staying in Ring of Honor. But at the same time, like, you're not like getting the juice out of it that you need, right? Because you're just relying on one act for this, C show that you have. And it's like, again, like, it's going to be a thing. Well, we don't have to push anyone because Athena's doing well. But like, I'm like, oh, like, you could be doing even better if you start pushing other people. And if you start making the world champion, the men's world championship matter more. And if you start making like other championships matter more and telling storylines, like, that will help the show. That'll help more people tune in to see people like Athena as well. Like, I don't know, man. They got to fix Ring of Honor. Like, that show is just broken. That show is just broken. If you do Money in the Bank, you have to do Survivor Series. No, you don't. Let's not do Survivor Series 2 nights. Ain't nobody trying to see all that. This is the first year in over a decade where Okada is not Wrestler of the Year candidate. He hasn't been on TV like that. Tell me when I'm telling lies. He just has not been on TV like that. He's had some good matches, but yeah, you're right. No match of the year contenders. I kept telling people that Mercedes Britt would suck because other than a lights out match with Rosa, Britt doesn't have great matches. Britt she's had great matches. I think like she had a really good match with Hikaru Shida at Double or Nothing 2021. She had a kick-ass match at Revolution 2020. Was it 2022? I think it was. Yeah, 2022 with Thunder Rosa. Like she's had good matches. I don't know whether it was the ring rust or what, but man, yeah. I mean, I don't think she's like the best technical wrestler, but that doesn't necessarily like disqualify her from being a great wrestler. I think she is, and she's proven that. It's just one of those things that hopefully I think they just get her back on track. And you look, she's going to be at this Dynamite 5th anniversary show on Wednesday, and it's going to be in her hometown, so they have a chance here to pick up the slack. What do you mean, Luxor? You seen Cody's copy and paste? Talk to me. I think that's good. Oh man, a lot of AEW's women's matches are hardcore. Yeah, bro. Yo, the queen of AEW's hardcore division is Anna Jay. Also, Anna Jay is cooking right now, man. Shout out to her. She's cooking. Speaking of cooking, guys, I'm pretty much cooked. I'll stick around for like another 5 minutes or so answering your questions. So get your last questions in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Also, like I said before, you guys want to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. You guys can download the app right now. Get $20 off using the code REALTAKE. That's my code, REALTAKE. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase. If you're planning on going to a wrestling show, if you are, going to trying to attend Bad Blood and those ticket prices got you messed up like they got me, I got you covered. $20 off. This is free $20, basically. You got a free $20. All you got to do, use the link in the description, download SeatGeek, sign up, and use the promo code REALTAKE. So do that. Become a member. I'm in full-on shilling mode. I ain't even going to hold you. Become a member, guys. You get access to all the fun emojis as well. You guys can access and join up to be a member. That helps sustain the channel, helps keep things going, and helps boost my self-esteem. I ain't gonna lie, because y'all are supporting. But you guys can also support in so many ways. There's so many ways to support. Hit that like button, though. That's the biggest one I need. I saw your Chris Jericho video on Wrestle Vibes. Yep. Posted a Chris Jericho video on Wrestle Vibes. Posted a Vince McMahon video on Wrestle Vibes as well. We're cooking over there. But I think there's ways to fix Jericho. They just gotta... I think he needs to go away for a while, though. I do think Jericho needs to go away for a little bit. All of their hardcore matches rule. I just don't think Britt is on the level of top girls in AEW. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think they definitely need to heat her up, because at this point, she's ice cold. She hasn't been on TV since All In. Britt versus Ruby versus Stat in the 4-way. She can wrestle a show. But yeah, I agree. Hoping to see a women's anarchy in the arena or blood and guts. Women in blood and guts, I think, will happen. I think that will happen. Man, oh man, guys. Give it a few more minutes. But yeah. It's been a crazy week of wrestling. I also am really enjoying these like Sunday morning streams. Like, it's right before football starts. By the way, shout out to my Ravens. We're playing the Buffalo Bills tonight in prime time. We're going to cook Josh Allen. Where is that game? Is that in Baltimore? Do I need to go to that game? I think it might be in Baltimore. Hold up. Let me see. Are my Ravens... I don't even know if we're home or away this week. Yeah, we're home. We're sitting at home. We at the bank. The Bills coming in 3-0. They about to be 3-1. We about to be 2-2. Get back to 500. Get things back on track. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be good, bro. We the kings of the north. You mean? Let's go. I'm so hyped though, bro. After last week, I was like, yo, this is what we need to do. 250 yards rushing. That's it. We get 200 yards rushing. The other team's cooked. Don't let Josh Allen get the ball. Frank G says, yes, Ravens. Let's go, baby. Shout out to my Ravens. Let's go. Let's go. We got Ravens fans here. Frank G, you just became a top G. Oh, I'm not going to say that. I ain't going to put that burden on you, my guy. I'm not putting that evil on you. You ain't. We're all top Gs. But Frank G is a real one for that. Shout out to you, my guy. Johnny says, Tony Khan dropped the ball on Trent after his heel turn. He got hurt. I mean, it's just one of the things. Trent got hurt, and he's out now. So it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things, man. It happens. Who do you think should get a second AEW title reign, both men's and women's? Second is an interesting question. I think Thunder Rosa, for sure. I think Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter in the women's division, for sure. I want to see that. I want to see either of them hold the belt again. I think both of them have a gripe because they both lost their belts because of injury. So I think there's a compelling story to potentially be told there, and I would love to see that. On the men's side, I think the one that everyone's waiting for is like, when is MJF gonna get that second run with the belt? But also Hangman. I would say MJF Hangman. Hangman is gonna have a second run with the belt. So we'll see what happens there. You got Devon Lewis. So it looks like Athena and Billy is the plan. Billy's probably going to win the gold. I wonder if they'll do Athena afterwards. Hopefully they'll bring her up to the main roster. I think she would cook. She would cook there. Malachi Black for AEW champion. I hope he resigns. We'll see. I could see him leaving. I think there's interest that WWE has in him, so I could very well see him leaving. Taylor Swift and the Chiefs is the team I dislike the most. I mean, I hate the Chiefs. No take on Taylor, but I hate the Chiefs. So like they are the NFL's favorite team. The NFL is rigged against every other team that's not the Chiefs at this point. So yeah. What do you think Tony Khan will announce the streaming deal with AEW pay-per-views? I would say within the next month. I think expect an announcement within the next month. What could WWE do to become more mainstream? They are, I mean, I don't know. Like they're basically mainstream at this point. I mean, they are as mainstream as they've ever been in that, like, they're out there and they're getting the mainstream attention. They are getting the mainstream treatment from like the press and stuff like that. Like, I think they're more mainstream in that, like, they're taken seriously than they've ever been. to be honest, like setting up their own like WWE cinematic universe as far as like movies go, like that could be the next step. When should Darby Allin win the world title? I think Darby should win that title. Like Darby Allin is one of those guys. I see him as like a Mick Foley type figure for AEW, in that like he's not the guy who needs to hold the world title for like forever or for like multiple times or whatever, but when he does get his chance, it is going to be an insanely huge moment. And it's going to be like a big, like, you know, boyhood dream coming true moment. But I think it's going to be huge. I think he's like one of those guys where it's like the entire roster is like, finally. Like they hoist him up on his shoulders, like, because like he's the guy, you know? Are they mainstream as TV ratings are dropping? I mean, yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing. They are still like, I mean, outside of Monday Night Raw when Monday Night Football is on, like, wrestling is still like a top 3 show. Like, you're talking about Dynamite, Raw, and SmackDown. They're like top 3 shows weekly for their time slots. So they're doing well in that respect. Like, they are wrestling is as mainstream as it been in that respect. Like, even when you go back and like look, like even Dynamite now is their rating is bigger, or sorry, their rating is better than it was in 2021 when they were doing over 1 million viewers. Sorry, their ranking. I want to be clear. Their rankings, not ratings. Their rankings. Their rankings, as far as television goes, are better than they were just a couple of years ago when they were doing over 1 million viewers. That just shows you like how much like cable TV is dropping. But I think moving to streaming too is going to be a big point of access for many fans. I think that's going to help make it more mainstream. Like, you look at what WWE did. WWE, a lot of their popularity, I think, now can be attributed to this Peacock deal. Because Peacock is fairly inexpensive compared to a lot of the other streaming platforms out there. And getting to all your PLEs there, getting your library there, get all that kind of stuff, that made a big impact on them. Because it made WWE accessible to people outside of the WWE network, which, if you're only going to sign up for the WWE network if you're a wrestling fan or if you're a WWE fan, but if you're on Peacock and you're not a fan, like, you're going to be like scrolling through stuff looking for stuff to watch, and you're like, WWE's everywhere. What's going on? What are they doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think the streaming aspect is going to be very important moving forward. That's why Monday Night Raw is going to streaming. So we'll see. That and a cinematic universe. I think that's definitely going to happen. Too difficult to rank. Rank the reckless wrestlers. Oh God. Who's the most reckless? Jesus. Man, okay, look, here's the thing. In what respect? Because in if it's like what they did, Mick Foley like laps all these guys, because this man was thrown off a Hell in a Cell twice. So like, and this is pre Shane McMahon doing the little elbow drop with like the padding or whatever. Mick Foley fell on concrete. That was reckless as hell. I'll give that to Mick Foley. That's number 1. But that is a very difficult way to rank. Ratings are dwindling. People are switching over to streaming. Yeah, but I also think like going over to streaming is going to help in popularity as well. So anyway, I think we've exhausted that. I've exhausted myself this morning. I need to go eat some breakfast, chill out, enjoy my Sunday. Just like I hope every single one of you enjoys your Sunday, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. This has been a fun time. I love these streams. I think it's going to make this a weekly-ish thing. Next week, I think the show probably will be a little bit later just because I'm going to be flying back from Atlanta. I'm trying to go to Bad Blood. Hopefully those ticket prices are not as cooked as they are now, because they are really, really cooked. But you guys, again, want to be uncooked, use the promo code RealTake when you download SeatGeek and sign up there. But appreciate all of you guys for your opinions, your comments, your opinions. That's what makes this channel grow. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I appreciate all of y'all. Mick Foley got his ear cut off. Yeah, that was crazy. Oh, I love this lineup, though. Raw on Mondays, SmackDown on Tuesdays, AEW Wednesday, NXT on Thursday, Shockwave on Friday. I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to have the schedule we have now. So it's going to be AEW, or it's going to be WWE Monday Night Raw on Mondays. It will be NXT on Tuesdays, Wednesday night Dynamite, Thursday night Collision. I very well could see Thursday night Collision being a thing. Friday night SmackDown, and then I think you get like a weekly show on Fox on Saturday with Shockwave, Saturday with Shockwave. But we will see, guys. Let me know, or not. Let me know. You already let me know. Y'all have been letting me know for an hour and a half. I'm tired, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Hopefully everyone has a great Sunday. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.